Hey everyone, welcome back to more Reddit stories about entitled people, crazy people, and all that kind of stuff. And as usual, we'll be checking out some more Reddit posts today, so feel free to share your thoughts about today's stories down in the comments and we're getting right into it. I'm being accused of stealing company property because I brought my own Keurig cups in, instead of buying from the company snack bar. How should I tell my boss to go F herself? The little Keurig coffee cups at work are 50 cents each. Very reasonable, but I don't like the flavors they keep stocked. So I brought my own cups in from home and have been using those instead. Better flavor and all that. There's a Keurig coffee machine, 2 of them actually. We have some serious coffee addicts here, in the break room that employees are allowed to use, so that's what I've been using. My boss is a notorious tightwad and a micromanaging a-hole. I was getting my coffee yesterday morning using my own Keurig coffee cups that I purchased on my own time, and she asked, "Where did you get those?" All offended like. The ones I bought are easily distinguishable from the company purchased ones. Mine are red, the company ones are blue. When I said I brought them in from home, she said that was illegal, and I was stealing company resources and to stop immediately. I just burst out laughing. I honestly thought she was kidding. She continued that I was stealing the water since I had to pay for the privilege to use the coffee machines, and raised her voice for me to stop laughing, and that I could be fired. That's when I realized she was serious. I was nearly speechless. I kept repeating, "Are you serious? It's water from a coffee machine. It's a single cup of coffee." And she kept saying, "Nope, stop immediately or we'll fire you for theft." Again and again and again. That I had to use the company purchased ones and no others. I'm going in tomorrow and I'm getting my damn cup of coffee, and I will absolutely die on this hill if I have to. I've worked here for 5 years and have no problem escalating this up to the CEO if necessary, or getting a new job. This is ridiculous. How should I tell my boss she can go F herself if she brings this up again and threatens me further? And before moving on to the update, what I think OP's boss is getting at in terms of stealing the water, I think because OP brought in their own Keurig coffee cups, they're not purchasing the ones in the office. And so therefore the water used to make a cup of coffee was part of the purchase, I guess? The 50 cents for a cup? Which is just hilarious to think that way. I doubt the employees have to pay to drink plain drinking water at the office, so how's that any different? What kind of person do you have to be to care about something like this in the first place? Just wanted to point that out in case it wasn't completely clear to everyone what the hell she meant by stealing water. Anyway, moving on to the update. I had posted yesterday on my lunch break, and when I came back into work, I already had a few good ideas thanks to a bunch of you. Like several of you recommended, I wanted to get her accusations in writing, so I sent off an email as soon as I sat down for lunch. I basically played dumb. "Hi, just wanted to double check the rules regarding bringing coffee in from home. Is this not allowed? I don't recall this being in our employee handbook, blah blah blah." She replied about an hour later saying what she had said earlier. Yes, it was grounds for firing since it was using company property for personal gain. What? And I should only use the company Keurig cups. I replied asking if it was considered stealing the company water, and she again said yes, but not if I paid for the coffee since I was purchasing it. Oh, and a bunch of you also thought she was profiting off the coffee cups, and while your logic is sound, I found out later she has no responsibilities or fingers in the pot regarding the fees from the employee break area. Turns out she really is just a micromanaging asshole. Once I got these emails back from her, I went straight in person to my senior boss, who outranks everyone in the office. I asked him if it was true that we were not allowed to bring in our own personal Keurig cups. He looked confused and said, "No, that's not true at all. I bring in my own sometimes." He went from confused to shocked when I told him I was being accused of stealing company water while using my own Keurig cups, and that I wanted to file an official complaint, and then annoyed when I told him who was accusing me and who I wanted to complain against. He apologized profusely on behalf of the asshole manager and explained a few things. Long story short, there were multiple complaints of the same nature against this particular manager, mostly in the vein that she was overstepping the bounds of her duties and threatening to fire people at the slightest whim, which senior boss told me was not her decision to make. Senior boss apologized again and again, told me that I was absolutely allowed to bring in my own Keurig cups, and that he would be speaking to the other manager in question. He finished by saying, "Her behavior will stop, I promise you, and she won't be speaking to you about this again. Let me know if she brings it up further." He again repeated that it was not her responsibility or within her duties to fire me. I have a very good relationship with my senior boss, and he told me that while he would prefer to avoid filing an official complaint, he would understand if I chose to and would draw up the paperwork. I told him that as long as no one else was accusing me of theft and that my job wasn't actually in jeopardy. It wasn't, he kept telling me. I wouldn't file a complaint. Only if the asshole manager apologized in person. I got a very tight-lipped, face-to-face apology about 2 hours later from the asshole manager. I told her how insulting it was to be accused of theft, especially over something so incredibly stupid as a single cup of water. I told her I didn't want to talk about it further and that I wasn't going to hold it over her head, as long as she treated me fairly going forward. I told her I would not be lodging a complaint, but if I felt like I was being unjustly accused of something in the future from her, I'd have those emails she so conveniently sent me as evidence that she didn't know what she was talking about. Like I said, I have a very good relationship with senior boss, and I've been at my current company for 5 years. I'm not worried. Get everything your boss says in writing. My girlfriend tried to throw me under the bus when the police searched my house. First, I'd like to start with some background. My girlfriend and I have been in a relationship for a bit over a year. She stays in my house about 75% of the time. We've had no major problems before this point. On Saturday night, we were watching TV in the living room, and suddenly there was a loud pounding and shouting at the front door. My immediate reaction was to call the police, but after a look out the curtains, I found that it was the police. At this point, I was extremely confused. I don't sell, manufacture, or use drugs. I have no firearms in the house. I do nothing illegal online. I don't even pirate Game of Thrones. I had no idea why they might have reason to be knocking at my door on a Saturday night. I opened the door and they immediately asked for permission to search the premises. I asked why they would think that was necessary, and they wouldn't answer. In turn, I refused to give them permission. My girlfriend repeatedly said I should cooperate. I said no, and told them to show me a warrant if they want to enter the house. They then informed me that they had probable cause and were searching my place no matter what I thought about the situation, and that their asking was only a formality. The first thing they did after entering my house was pull my girlfriend and I into separate rooms and begin questioning us. I kept demanding they show me a warrant, but apparently warrants aren't even a thing anymore because probable cause can be literally anything when your local PD is backwater and crappy enough. I refused to answer any questions. I told them I wanted a lawyer if I was under arrest. I repeated that I did not consent to any searches of my property, and repeatedly asked what their probable cause was, that there was nothing readily apparent, thank you Breaking Bad, and that they had no right to strip me of my privacy. My girlfriend, on the other hand, talked a lot. I didn't hear much because she was in the next room, but I overheard her say this: "You should check the backyard shed. I've never been in there before and I can't say what's in it." At the time, I could only think, what the f is she doing? Well, the police checked the shed and found nothing. Again, I'm not a criminal. And an hour plus hundreds of questions later left. At that point, I asked why in the world she would try to help them find criminal activity in my house, and she could only answer that she panicked and didn't know what to do. I don't need legal advice. My mother is a paralegal and knows a lot of good attorneys. She's furious about the police conduct, and she doesn't even know what my girlfriend said to them yet. I'm incredibly angry at my girlfriend for saying something so unbelievably moronic, but all she can respond to me with is, "I panicked and didn't know what to do." What I need more than anything is another perspective on why a person would throw their significant other under the bus like that. Does this seem like something that can be worked through, or is this just a huge red flag? And that brings us to the update. My girlfriend and I aged a year since the original post. I am now 30 and she is now 25. The tip that the police received that caused them to come to my house did not come from my girlfriend. This was a giant clusterfuck. About a year before I met my current girlfriend, I was kind of seeing a 35-year-old woman. Our relationship was primarily physical in nature, but she wanted me to drop everything and move in with her. Just about everyone I knew was telling me that there was something off about her, but I thought they were judging her for her age. Then one night when we had a fight, she chugged half a bottle of cognac and I had to call an ambulance because she was completely unresponsive. I ghosted her after this and had to ignore her pounding on my door several times. I went to the police station about a week after they raided me to file a formal complaint. I had consulted a lawyer and he advised me that it would be a good first step if I were going to take legal action. When I filed the complaint, I tried to get information on who falsely accused me of a crime that warranted a raid without a warrant, but they wouldn't budge. My lawyer told me as much. 6 months after the raid, I heard through the grapevine that my ex-friend with benefits/girlfriend called the police to inform them that I was cooking crystal meth in my basement. I only learned about this because a mutual friend who my ex had recently confided in spilled the beans. I figured out soon thereafter that she had seen me with my current girlfriend somewhere, and decided I must have been cheating on her when we were still together, a year earlier. She exacted her revenge by getting me swatted. I went to the police station to file a report against her, but the person at the front desk essentially laughed me out of the building. When I consulted my lawyer, he told me it was basically pointless to even bother, maybe with a better PD and in a better city. I was advised against trying to sue the PD. More specifically, my lawyer told me that I could sue if I wanted, but that if he were me, he wouldn't. When I asked why, he said that usually if you can prove the unwarranted search was racially motivated / based on prejudice or corruption, you could possibly win. But the police screwing the pooch was generally a weak reason. Again, maybe against a better PD in a less backwards region. My girlfriend talked because of previous bad experiences. I forgave my girlfriend for over-talking to the police. Many people in the original post were entirely pitchforks up, even suggesting that she called the police, and I understand why. Some people went kind of over the line and suggested that she may have planted evidence, but some were explaining that there are people who simply freeze up with the police. Knowing her, I thought this must be the case. We moved. We moved out of Buttville. We live in a larger city now, and coincidentally, my parents also had a reason to move here too. Her parents are originally from elsewhere in the country, but we are closer to them now too. One last little happy note is that we are getting married next year, and we are both incredibly excited about starting our lives together. Yeah, that was kind of my first impression with how OP's girlfriend reacted by telling the police to check the shed. The way people act when interacting with law enforcement can vary pretty greatly, and not everyone's good or well-versed in the general idea of just don't talk. You have no legal obligation to talk, and it's actually in your best interest not to, even if you're not doing anything wrong. But if you've never found yourself in a situation like this and never had to think about that kind of stuff, and you're suddenly met face to face with officers interrogating you, I can definitely see how it'd be easy to panic a little and say stuff that maybe you shouldn't say. But overall, I don't hold that against OP's girlfriend at all. If anything, it was a learning experience for her. But yeah, that's certainly a bit of a sketchy situation. Crazy ex-girlfriend sees you out and about with another girl, so she gets you swatted by making up a fake report about a meth operation. And in some backwater town at that, where the police are above the law and don't need a warrant to just raid your house. Fun times. Anyway, that's gonna do it for today, guys. Thank you for watching, I do appreciate it. If you enjoyed, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more Reddit stories like these. Anyway, I'm out of here, so stay tuned for more and I'll see you next time.